Hi, and welcome to PDQ Live. We have a special guest here with us today. It is Glenn.
Hello, hello.
Hi, Glenn. Thanks for coming.
Happy to be here in person. I'm usually just a voice on the webcam, not answering questions about DNI, but that's going to have to change.
I know. I'm really excited because Glenn knows everything about SmartDeploy, so this is going to be an amazing webcast. And the timing is actually perfect.
It is, yeah. So we got a number of requests that we cover platform packs again. So can we throw the... oh, there we are. So platform packs, for those who are new to SmartDeploy, SmartDeploy is an OS imaging product and allows you to create a virtual reference machine. You would capture that image, and then you have an image that you can use on any piece of hardware. The way that works is because the image was created on a virtual machine, it doesn't include any of the device drivers or programs or registry entries or any of that stuff that comes when you install something on a physical machine. So instead, we have platform packs, and the platform packs are designed for a particular OS or group of OSs. We've got some here that are for, I thought I had one here that was for Windows 10 and Windows 11, but that disappeared as soon as it downloaded. So the whole Windows 10, Windows 11 dichotomy is a bit weird, so we will get to that later. But essentially, platform packs are down to a specific make and model of device. So you can see here if I open one.
So can I just dumb it down a second, Glenn?
Please.
These are essentially drivers, right? And more.
They are packs of drivers and software that were included by that manufacturer for that device.
Okay.
So you can see here it's got it's essentially a zip with some metadata on it. So so you've got information about the manufacturer here. This is a WMI query that's confirming that the target device is a Dell as registered in the system firmware. And right here, it's confirming that you can see this one is very old, so it's been updated many times, confirming that it's the model, the E7450. That one is, that one's probably on the verge of retirement at this point. So, and then each one of these folders contains various driver INFs as well as supporting files. We only show the INFs here because we want you to see which drivers are in there, but there are dozens of other files in there as well that are required by the INF itself. When you install an image onto an endpoint, only the correct platform pack will ever be used. So you can put a bunch of platform packs in the same folder, in the platform packs folder that you've specified in your answer file for that deployment. And it will check the OS that you're trying to deploy. It will check the make and model of the target machine, and it'll only use the correct one there.
And this is unique to SmartDeploy, right? This is the only one of our products that actually will find the driver and install.
That is correct,
platform
yeah. You can include as many different driver packs as you want, and only the correct one will ever be used. So platform packs are handy little modules in that way.
It's kind of idiot-proof, right? It's going to check to make sure you're not making a mistake.
I'd have to check with marketing to see if they like the term idiot.
I know, I like it though. I like to make it easy. So.
But it's pretty hard to mess it up. Yeah, we try to do all the hard work for you, which is we also pare them down as much as possible because the driver packs that come from the manufacturers, from the component manufacturers in particular, tend to be pretty bloated. Okay. You get a Realtek audio driver. It's going to include every audio driver for every Realtek device, and narrowing that down can often save a few hundred megabytes. And some of these, the video card drivers are quite bloated, the communications drivers are quite bloated, so we try to pare them down as much as possible.
That's awesome.
That also means you're not going to be downloading any platform packs that you don't need, but you're also not going to be including any drivers that you don't need.
I'm going to stop you for a second because actually I don't know if we've ever talked about that before, and that's pretty critical. So you actually de-bloat the drivers for them.
That is correct. So whatever drivers are included in the platform pack gets staged for the OS to be injected during Windows device installation. And you can install drivers for devices that don't exist on that machine. And every one of those drivers you install is going to add about 5 seconds to the deployment time. So if you are adding every driver that exists, as many sort of uncomplicated as many of the older deployment setups would use, like MDT, you're injecting a bunch of drivers that will be present. They won't be used.
So you don't need them.
Sometimes the wrong one will be used. So that's creating potential conflicts there because multiple versions of the same driver will exist from different manufacturers that have been customized for their specific machine in some way. But so
that's pretty handy.
But it's going to make your deployment take longer. Yeah. So if you're only including the drivers for that specific make and model of device, and you're only including the smallest possible set of drivers for that machine, then you are saving time on deployment. And that's why SmartDeploy consistently beats other solutions on deployment time, and that's one of the reasons.
Here's what we need to do, Glenn. Yeah. Take your team and aim them at Windows 11 and get rid of all that bloatware. What do you think? Can we do that? I
mean, you can get the enterprise versions of Windows 11, but a lot of the bloatware is still there in enterprise. Unfortunately, I just saw the other day that Microsoft is being increasingly aggressive about recommending people switch to Bing and switch off of the Google suite of products, get from Chrome over to Bing and Edge. And it's too bad because I actually like Edge.
I do too, actually.
It's a fine browser. Yeah. It's just not one that I want to have forced on me. Outlook for desktop has a default setting that irks me to no end, where if you click on a link in an email in the Outlook desktop version, it will open an Edge regardless of what your default browser setting is until you go into Outlook settings and remove that. It is so irritating.
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, so back
to this. So
back to the platform packs.
So platform packs are also useful because they include things that are not drivers at all, but they are crucial for that machine. So
like BIOS
updates.
Okay.
So you can see here we're running a WMI query to see what the current version of the BIOS is. We're checking to see if it is less than or equal to A24 or just less than A24. That's Dell BIOS numbering system. And if it is, then we are running their BIOS update widget. In this case, during specialized, so it's happening after the OS gets installed and during right after Windows sysprep gets run.
Okay.
So BIOS updates can be useful for a lot of reasons. They can be useful for improving performance. They can be useful for dealing with boot issues that have been addressed by the manufacturer in some way. And they can be useful for addressing security vulnerabilities.
Like the one that's floating about right now?
Yep, which brings us to downfall.
One?
But before we get to downfall, is there anything else about platform packs we need to cover here? Let me see. We have updates
I want to talk about how and when these are updated. Is it automatic? What control do I have over this? Let's talk about the life cycle of these once they've pushed out.
Right here, you've got the SmartDeploy console, and you've got all your platform packs that you, Tara at pdq.com, have downloaded here. And you know, because you've deployed all of these machines, that this version of the platform packs works in your environment.
Yes.
It works with all of the weird little hardware that you've got plugged into all of your computers. It works for all of the industry-specific devices you're using, and you don't want to change that known good driver version, and you don't want another update being pushed on you without you knowing about it and testing it.
I have a lot of experience in this going haywire, actually. So I came from a broadcast background. And
nice.
So
Okay.
audio drivers, like when the security updates would push out Windows feature updates, it would take us off the air.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare. So I, for one, would not want this to be automatic because that's 5 a.m. getting a phone call, people screaming at me.
We made a design decision very early on that we wanted to notify when drivers were available. We also wanted to make it easy for our users to request updates if driver updates were available from the manufacturer and our platform pack was not up to date yet. Yeah. They would let us know, and you can do that at any time as long as you have a SmartDeploy support contract and just submit a support request. We will update an existing platform pack with whatever drivers are available at that time from the manufacturer.
Okay.
And but we didn't want to force that on anybody who didn't choose to download it. So you can see here one of these platform packs, the E50 or the 5420, has an update available. Okay. And if you mouse over that, you can see what that means. So I can right-click and update this, and if I do, it'll warn me that it's going to overwrite the existing one. So. You don't have to go that route. You could download this one separately, and you could keep the old version around. You could test and make sure that it works just fine. But we're not going to force the update on you at any point.
So I'm not going to schedule this. This is totally manual for my environment because you don't want to mess it up.
Yes, exactly. Okay. We want to leave your environment in whatever shape it's currently in unless you decide to update it. So, so that is how platform pack updates work. And also the updating process does not occur automatically because we can't keep all of these platform packs up to date because the ways in which they notify us vary by manufacturer. Sure. We've definitely tried to automate that process of discovery as much as possible, and we're continuing to try and innovate in that area to keep our platform packs up to date. But there are only so many hours in the day and only so many people working on this. So we rely on customers to let us know, hey, this device is important to me, and I see it's got a BIOS update available to address this critical Intel security vulnerability that's coming up here. So
but point of clarity, I do have to pay attention. I can't. This can't just be autopilot. I have to check in every now and again and see. Oh, I've got an update. I've got to run.
Yeah. Now, some of the manufacturers do have utilities that will call out if a driver update is available on that machine. Dell is one of them. And so if you start to see those utilities act up and say, hey, there are updates available, that can be a signal to you to say, hey, I should let SmartDeploy know. Go ahead and update this pack. And then that won't come up so much. Those utilities are not foolproof. We've seen instances where it'll tell you that a particular update is available. You'll install it, and it'll keep right on telling you that update is available. So if anything like that happens, we can sometimes address it through support. So definitely reach out if you keep seeing that issue happen. But sometimes it is just an issue with the manufacturer failing to detect the state of their own driver in some way. So
as we're preparing for this outline, we're discussing it back and forth, and Jordan and Brock shared this Intel vulnerability that's affecting billions of people.
Literally
billions. And so we read the article and I'm like, oh my gosh. Now, I cannot think of a better use of SmartDeploy than to do this. It is the easiest way to patch all of your machines. I mean, it's genius, Glenn.
So it keeps it easy when you're re-imaging machines, and it also keeps it easy when you're trying to keep machines up to date. In the computer management view here, You don't actually have to re-image a machine to, oh, these are angry at us. Let's go ahead and clear those failed statuses here. These were just previous failed deployments. These are previous failed application deployments from testing. So, what'll happen here is if a driver update is available for a particular machine, and these are all virtual machines, so it's not the best demo environment for this point. But if you have any physical machines here, they are going to have the SmartDeploy client running on them. That is how they appear in the computer management view in the first place. And one of the tasks that the SmartDeploy client performs is it checks against any platform packs that you have available. It will check the current driver version that's installed for each component against the driver version that is installed in the platform packs you have available. If it detects that there's a newer version available, it'll go ahead and let you know with an icon that's right here. And you then have the opportunity to update drivers on that machine. So you can click deploy and drivers on a particular one. We can't actually demo that here because we don't have a physical machine connected to this environment. But what that will do is it'll install drivers for that particular device. If there is a BIOS update available, it will go ahead and install that as well. Now,
I think this one is. So this is anyone that has the Intel chip, right? So we're going to include this article for everybody. Kelly has it as bonus contact, but so this one is a BIOS update, right? Let me make sure I'm not crazy.
The way that they are addressing it is a BIOS update. Let's explain what the downfall vulnerability is first. So this is another hardware side channel attack, similar to Spectre and Meltdown conceptually, the ones that came out a few years ago. The basic idea is that it allows somebody with physical access to a machine to steal credentials that are stored in memory for another user on that machine. So there are certain conditions that have to be met for this vulnerability to occur. It also affects any cloud computers that exist as well. So that's why I believe it was Google researchers that discovered this one. And I know for sure that Google Cloud Platform, AWS, and Azure have all patched their virtual machines against this. So all the physical hardware, all the physical and virtual processors that are running on their machines should be up to date. Those platforms should be secure, at least as asserted by those companies. So. And
so this is Dell, Lenovo, HP. I mean, just virtually almost anybody's affected by this.
So it's going to be any Intel processor pre-12th generation. So anything that's 11th generation or older is going to be affected by this, which is unfortunate because that is many millions, if not billions of devices used by many billions of users. So the way that this is being mitigated is through BIOS updates. Similar, that was also how Spectre and Meltdown did it. In fact, we ended up spending months updating every platform pack for every device we had with the latest BIOS updates. And they were even updating ones that were officially out of support. Some of the Compact branded ones for HP, they actually pushed out BIOS updates for those ones even after they were out of support. So we updated all of those. We still had the odd user who was still on one of those, still running Windows 7 long past expiration. We went ahead and updated those packs because they asked us to. But
and you're in the process of updating them currently, but maybe we're not quite finished. Is that right?
Oh yeah, we're definitely not finished. Okay. It's going to be a lengthy process, and this is why we definitely rely on user submissions for platform packs because that's going to drive us for what direction, for which ones we want to do first. And we have a pretty good idea which ones are the most popular. We have download rates for them, and those are the ones we target first. And that's going to be the most common business class devices, your Lenovo, anything that begins with Think, your HP ones, anything that begins with Elite or Pro, your we did Lenovo, HP, Dell, there we are, your Latitudes, Optiplexes, XPSs. So we target those ones first, and that covers the majority of our users. But if you have any device in your environment that has a platform pack that is out of date and there's a new version of that of the BIOS available for that one that addresses the specific CVE, which apparently Kelly's going to be putting that link in the show notes.
Yep.
So if you see that there's an update available and we have not covered that one yet, go ahead and contact support, and we will go ahead and get that one updated as well. We can only get through them as fast as we're able to, but we are, as with any security vulnerability, we are definitely concerned about this, and we want to get these machines up to date so that you can start using SmartDeploy to install these updates and get your machines secure again.
So the article, I believe the article has a link that says what machines are affected. So you can click on the link and see if machines in your fleet are affected. And then Barack actually has written an article on how to address it that I don't know when it's going to be posted, but I believe soon.
I think it should be today. And if you look in the description here in YouTube, there are two links, one to an article about it, also that list to see if you have affected devices. There's that, and then we will add Brock's link as soon as it's available.
So Glenn, do you think, can you walk us through how we might look for these machines, to look for the platform packs and then maybe deploy one, just pretend?
Yeah, for sure. So in the SmartDeploy console in the platform packs view, imagine you don't have any of these downloaded. You would click on the little plus icon here, click download a platform pack, and Tara, give me the name of a machine, if you will.
One of my machines? Billy.
Give me the name of a machine model.
Oh, okay. Latitude 7450. Dell 7450.
Okay. And this is a search window, so you could just type in Latitude or 7450 or Dell, and it would find any of these as well. So we'll go ahead and download that one. While that's downloading, we actually had that one already. So while that's downloading, I will mention Windows 10 and Windows 11 drivers real quick. There is significant overlap between support for Windows 10 drivers and support for Windows 11 drivers. Some component manufacturers have decided, because they're all on a common driver framework, some of them have released identical driver sets for Windows 11 and Windows 10. Some of them have released almost identical driver sets, but they have a few things that are specific to Windows 11. So we have done the best we can with this as far as differentiating platform packs, and we ran into the same issue with different versions of Windows 10 pre-1709 and post-1709 because they switched driver frameworks in the middle of the lifespan of Windows 10 as well. There is never going to be any clean way to list this within there. So when in doubt, if you are not sure what platform pack to use for a machine, contact support. We can always point you in the right direction.
Yeah.
But the baseline rules here, and there is also a KB article that explains this in detail. Is that if you have a Windows 11 and a Windows 10 platform pack for the same device and you're deploying Windows 11, it'll use the Windows 11 pack. If you are deploying a Windows 11 image and there is only a Windows 10 pack available, SmartDeploy will treat that pack as if it is presumptively compatible with Windows 11. It will try to deploy it with the Windows 10 platform pack. So it'll deploy your Windows 11 image, but with the Windows 10 platform pack. And in most cases, that should work fine. Microsoft has put a lot of work into making sure that Windows 10 drivers work well enough, especially on the networking side, that you can get your machine online. It'll get on Windows Update, and it might download an update here and there to address it. So, but if you ever have a machine that you are not getting the driver support you need on it, that is definitely a circumstance to contact support. So.
Okay. The comments, you guys, my lab is named after Stranger Things. So
okay.
That's why I said Billy.
Everybody's commenting, I wish mine was Billy.
They're all named after Stranger Things, so that's why.
I hated Billy, by the way.
I did too, but I had a theme. Do you not respect a theme, Kelly?
I love the theme.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Okay. All right, so we've downloaded. We know we have a bunch of Latitude 7450s. We've downloaded the platform pack. Now, I have a couple questions. The first of which, this is a BIOS update. What if I need a restart? I can't do it in the middle of the day, so that's my supplemental question. So go ahead now.
So in computer management, if you're pushing this out, now, first of all, the other way to deploy a platform pack is to re-image the machine. So if the platform pack is simply available in your platform packs directory, we're not going to go through that entire process here, but
I can't re-image my whole fleet. This is an emergency, Glenn.
Exactly. When you go to re-image a machine, there's an answer file. It declares where your image is, what computer naming convention you want to use, and where your platform packs are. So if a platform pack is there, it'll go ahead and install that. But that's not a circumstance where you're worried about disrupting that user's experience because you're re-imaging the machine. What about all the ones that you don't want to re-image?
Yeah, I have 500 machines. My security guy's yelling at me. I just need to get this done.
Yep, so you're going to want to communicate with your users about this because when you push out a platform pack from computer management, you have the option to defer the platform pack or to defer any deployment operation to later. Let me see if I can.
Well, actually, let me call this out really quick, Glenn. If you can hit back just really quick because I want to make sure we talk about this because a lot of our customers are hybrid.
Oh, yes.
And SmartDeploy supports so many different providers. So can you just talk about that really quick? Because I don't have to be on my LAN. Can you talk about your cloud providers real quick?
Yeah, so SmartDeploy's client supports communication via the local network. So if you're deploying an image or platform pack that exists on an accessible network share on that endpoint, then you can just do a local deployment, and that is fine. If you want to do a cloud-based deployment, you can store your image, platform packs, deployment packages, and even user data migration stores in your cloud storage accounts. So we support OneDrive and OneDrive for Business, Google Drive, and the business equivalent of that, Box and Dropbox as well. So you can sign into the SmartDeploy console with any of those cloud providers, and that allows you to upload those materials, those files to your cloud storage provider, and then you have the ability to deploy to any machine that is cloud connected via the cloud instead. In fact, you could actually deploy via the cloud to one that is locally connected, although I can't imagine why you would want to, because that's definitely going to be slower.
But the point is you can get it done.
Yep, the SmartDeploy client has the ability to connect via local or cloud, and it will try local first. If it's unable to contact the console over its local network, then it will instead reach out via the cloud, and it fails over to that in about 5 minutes.
Good to know.
You can also, if you know that a machine is going to be on and off VPN, and you don't want to take the chance of it connecting locally, and you want to preferentially do the cloud, you can set up the client so that it will only connect with the cloud connection, and that is fine too.
Okay.
So you click past this. Now, any deployment operation that you do from the SmartDeploy console, including updating drivers, has a checkbox that allows the user to defer the driver or to defer whatever update type it is. The one exception to this is platform packs that contain a BIOS update.
Good.
You could leave this. So if you leave this checked for any deployment operation, it's going to pop up a message that says, hey, your administrator is trying to deploy something to this machine, and it'll tell you what that is. It may require a restart. Do you want to do this now or in? And then it gives you a few different time margins too.
And they all say no. Okay.
And they all say no, but eventually it will proceed with that. So, but they get some warning about it. If you uncheck this, then it won't do that. It'll just do it immediately. But the one exception to that is if the platform pack has a BIOS update, we always warn the user, whether you check this box or not. And the reason for that is you risk bricking that machine otherwise.
Because they'll unplug it from power, shut it off,
exactly.
and then
they shut it off in the middle of a BIOS update, then their machine is wrecked, and then you've got a much bigger problem to solve on your hands of retrieving all of their data from that machine and re-imaging it, and resetting its firmware, probably with a service call to the manufacturer. So not fun, and we try to avoid that as much as possible. And of course, if that's that is the risk that is involved with updating system firmware. So you just want to be thoughtful about it. You want to communicate with your users. You want to make sure they know what the importance of this is and why it needs to be done, and schedule a time for it to occur.
Yeah, just send an email saying leave your computers plugged in. I'm going to do this tonight at 9 p.m. and then make sure they plug it in and schedule this at 9 p.m.
Yeah, scheduling deployments is permitted. The SmartDeploy client supports Wake on LAN as well. So if that machine goes to sleep, as long as its network adapter and your network environment are configured to support Wake on LAN, then that machine will wake itself up. It'll install the drivers. It'll reboot itself if it needs to, and then it'll presumably go to sleep again under whatever power settings you've configured.
Okay, perfect. So easy enough.
Yeah. That is how that works.
That's actually really slick. So this would be, instead of this being a nightmare scenario, your SmartDeploy just made it pretty slick.
Yeah, we definitely try to make addressing these things as easy as possible. There's a lot of work by a lot of sysadmins involved. It's something you have to be thoughtful about. It's something you have to be aware of the current status of all the machines in your environment. But SmartDeploy gives you some visibility into that by letting you check the availability of drivers and BIOS updates for that machine. So, and apply those if you need to.
Yeah. Do you want to take some questions, Glenn?
Yeah, please.
Sweet. You're in luck because we have some questions. All right, first question comes from Luke B. Difference between WDS and SmartDeploy?
Oh, that's a trick question because SmartDeploy actually integrates with WDS, so there is no difference. WDS which is Windows Deployment Services, is it's a product that is offered by Microsoft. It is free with Windows Server. It's just a role that you install on a Windows Server machine, and what it allows you to do is advertise machines on your network for Pixie boot or for network boot. So you would put a Windows PE boot image on there. That would allow your endpoints to plug into your network, and subject to various degrees of authentication, you can have any machine be able to do that. You can have only an approved list of MAC addresses do it. There are various ways to secure that option. You just tap F12. That allows you to pick a network-based boot image that is hosted on the WDS server. It downloads that. It proceeds with deployment according to whatever answer file is included in there. SmartDeploy has a version of this available. So you can create a SmartDeploy boot image that is designed for WDS. And once you get into the Windows PE environment, it's exactly the same as any other method of deployment with SmartDeploy. You're going to be in that SmartDeploy Windows PE environment, or Smart PE for short, and it will proceed with deployment using SmartDeploy. It actually also supports multicast with WDS. So if you are doing 25 or more machines at once, then it will be faster to use multicasting. So you'll want to make sure your network is set up for that your install image is added to WDS as an install image. If you're not doing multicast, then your image can just be at any accessible network location, whether it's on that WDS server or not.
Remember how I said Glenn knows everything about SmartDeploy? See?
You were not exaggerating.
I was not exaggerating.
All right, next question. Can you roll back the driver? High-res 2.
Unfortunately, the only option that we have on there is forward. You can roll back a driver, but that would be a custom operation you'd have to configure yourself. You could push it out with an application pack. You could push it out as a command or a script with PDQ deploy. There are a few different ways you could do it, but it would have to be customized to that particular driver.
So test.
Yep, test. That's
always
what
test.
I'd recommend.
Test in production.
Always forward, never go back. Or go back in production by re-imaging that machine. Or go back outside of production by re-imaging that machine.
All right, I've got a couple more questions. Won't BIOS updates require a reboot? Can you send a message to the screen that lets the end user know when it's coming?
Yep, we can and we do. I think we addressed that one.
We addressed that one, but...
All right, well, next question. I'll just throw it right on up there. Is there a way to check for vulnerable computers on the PDQ inventory?
Yes, and I'm 99% sure. I think Brock's listening. He actually goes over this in the blog. But
excellent.
Brock, do you want to expand?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, we should have a blog and a video coming out here pretty soon. But essentially, Inventory and Connect give you a few different ways to do it. Inventory is a big help because you can go into some built-in processor reports and you can you can select the name of the processors and group by those processor names, so you can quickly identify like which computers have what processors. Inventory, you can go in and create a collection based off of those vulnerable processor names. And for the most part, it's going to be your 6th gen through 11th gen Intel processors. So you can create a collection that's looking for like Intel Core i7-6 through 11, because that's their name. But you'll want to watch out for like Xeon processors and stuff like that, which are also vulnerable.
Hey, Brock, can you check current BIOS versions in PDQ inventory as well? It's not something I've ever tried before.
You should be able to. I mean, with WMI scanner and the PowerShell scanner, you should be able to.
Yeah, that would be custom per machine, though. If you know about it, if there's a known good mitigated version of the BIOS for that machine, you could check to see which machines within that model have that particular BIOS version, but you would have to set that up specifically for each machine. So each one of those manufacturers does have an information page on there, which indicates which models are affected and which BIOS versions have mitigated it. So you can just consult that for reference as you are looking at that collection as well.
Glenn, there's a question from Original there that Kelly might not see.
No, I did.
Oh, he got okay.
I got it. So let's go to that one.
Okay.
Can we get a real-time status for deployment? Currently, there is no real-time status when deploying a platform pack. Original D.
Yeah, so the real-time status is a bit of a moving target with these ones because it is cycling through each driver as it goes, and there are obviously varying levels of detail that we could give as feedback to the console as it's going, because of course the SmartDeploy client is performing the operation, so it's aware of which driver it's installing. Currently at this point, all we're doing is just notifying that one process of deploying the platform pack is occurring. If a reboot is pending, then that information I believe is also available, but down to the driver level with that level of granularity is not currently a feature on there. It's a sort of thing where it happens very, very quickly. If you're installing drivers just through the DP instance utility, it'll either install it very quickly or trigger a reboot, but that's kind of it. It's usually over in a matter of seconds unless it's hanging for some reason. And if it is hanging, that should be evident in the logs, and we would be able to help troubleshoot that via support. So I would say if you ever have a situation where the driver update just seems to be hanging and you're not really sure what's going on with it, reach out to support. There could be some issue with that particular platform pack on that particular device. So we'd want to look at your logs and see what's going on.
So Glenn, I wish I had your brain, but I just made a video about this where you can start that service and watch it in real time when it's happening. What's that service called again?
The service for the SmartDeploy client service.
Yes. Yeah. If you run that, it'll tell you have to start and stop it right before you send the platform pack. It tells you exactly what's going on in real time.
Yep. If you want to see what our SmartDeploy client service logging looks like in real time, that is possible to do. So I did not know that was information we put out there.
Yeah,
Support
there's a
uses
video.
it routinely. So.
I just made it. I'm sorry my brain doesn't work as fast as Glenn's, but yeah, go to the SmartDeploy YouTube channel and you can watch how to do it.
But I would also say these are not the most elegant solutions for what you're after here. So I would say feedback at smartdeploy.com. If you have any thoughts on how you would like to see the visibility of this feature improved, what information would be useful to you, go ahead and let us know, because we definitely welcome that sort of feedback. All right.
Real quick.
Actually, there was one other one from Original that I saw in the chat.
Yeah, sorry, Kelly. He didn't post it as a question.
Mismatch.
Yeah, that's why I just wanted Glenn to see it, but we can't. Can you scroll up, Jordan? Do you mind, just real quick?
It's okay. I saw what it was. It was about a particular version of the 5430 or 5420, whether it was picking the rugged one or not. So there are basically two possibilities there, Original. So we do address this in our design of platform packs because a lot of times devices are very similarly named, or a machine will come out as the first gen and it will just be the name of that machine, and then they'll just append Gen 2, Gen 3 to that same name. So we end up having to go back and update our previous platform packs. Initially, it's a fuzzy match. Anything that is like this original model should be matched. And then that doesn't work anymore because if we've got a Gen 2, Gen 3, that fuzzy match would cover all of those generations. So it wouldn't be sure which platform pack to use. So we can then do an exact match for that specific machine. So this is something we attempt to target within the platform packs. Now, the specific example that you raised with the rugged versus non-rugged version of the device, we go based on whatever Dell actually uses for that machine in the system firmware. So the distinction between rugged and non-rugged is not always evident in their branding, but if it is identical in the system firmware, then that is what we use. So in the case of that one, it is picking that platform pack because as far as the system firmware is concerned, and as far as Dell's driver listings are concerned, it is the correct one for that device. But as always, if you ever think that the wrong platform pack is being used for a device, reach out to support because we want to double check on that and make sure the right one's being used. So,
cool. Jordan, did you have something?
Yeah, just when we mentioned the finding the BIOS with inventory, I believe that is by default on the computers table. You don't need to build a custom scanner.
Oh, beautiful. So yeah, you could simply look at that information on there, compare it to the tables that are available from that manufacturer, and see which machines are up to date on a particular version. Or you could create a collection that corresponds to a particular BIOS version and see which machines have reached that or not. Is that right? Or which ones are greater than or equal to that version?
Yeah, so it just, if it's already in the table, if you're just trying to find out which ones have a certain known number, if it goes up, like any sort of software update, you could build a quick collection off of that.
Beautiful. All right.
Okay. Hey, Glenn, thank you so much. As always, you're a wealth of knowledge. We appreciate you being on.
Happy to be here.
That's all for today. For PDQ, I'm Tara. And this is Glenn.
And I'm Glenn, yes.
And there's some other people here too, but we won't get into that. Thanks for joining the webcast today. And if you liked what you've seen, do us a favor, like, subscribe, and leave us your comments. If you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to our support forums. Have a fantastic week, and we'll see you back here next time.